From 17 once again, introducing you to my Halo 4 Legendary difficulty video walkthrough. This is the second section to Requiem, and this is kind of interesting because imagine that this environment is symmetrical. We're moving towards this fort, and there are two ways you can go. You can go left or right, and you're going to be following this craggy bit of countryside to get there. And on each side of me, there are enemies waiting to defend those avenues. And I start getting, fancy with jump shots and things, and I immediately get hit, and it takes all my shield, as you've just seen. And I'm not quite too sure what's happened, and he's happened right there. There's an elite with a concussion gun, and that concussion gun, there must be some trick to using it, because every time I pick it up it reminds me of what a giant pile of shit it is. I never use that weapon, but the AI is genius as they will kill you in 2 to 3 shots if you're lucky. So be very careful with it. I picked up a fuel rod earlier, so I use a couple of shells on this guy. I jump around and try and be evasive as possible so he doesn't hit me with the concussion. I'm not the biggest fan of the fuel rod on this game because it doesn't seem to fire like it used to, and I don't know if it's just because they've put that sound on, which makes it sound like it's not as good, or what, but it doesn't do the justice for me like it used to, so the fuel rod is not this awesome thing to carry anymore for me personally. But just be careful, guys, moving up here. I'm going to be taking this as slow but as lethally as I can. I'm always going to try and have a weapon that's single shot and accurate to deal headshots and deal massive damage. I'm always either going to have a secondary heavy weapon, a single shot weapon, or plasma pistol. And I'm going to use these next few minutes to tell you what I think about the game, because I mentioned it in the last video and I didn't actually speak about it. So, should you buy Halo 4? That is always the questions that I get asked. In fact, somebody's already asked it, and I told them to buy it. And the reason I've told them to buy it is because, love it or hate it, this game gives you exactly what you want. And some people are going to stretch that to be a complaint. Other people are going to use that to be a praise. And what I mean by this is, this might not be Bungie, but this is Halo. I've played every Halo game. I might not have enjoyed every Halo game, but I've played them all. And this definitely feels like Halo. This definitely feels like an interpretation of the Halo universe. There are differences. There are certain sequences that Bungie would have definitely done differently. But for all intents and purposes, it's Halo. To some people, that's a bad thing, because they don't like Halo. To other people, it might be a disappointing thing, because they want a reimagining, a completely reinvention of the wheel, and the only thing that this is doing is giving you some leather driving gloves. It's not really reinventing anything per se, it's just adding to what is already a very successful formula. And I do think that that's going to have a big impact on how you receive this game. If you want more Halo and you like a polished first-person shooter that has that universe as its foundations, you're going to like this game. If you're kind of burnt out on Halo and you want something new, you want a boundary to be pushed, this game is not pushing any boundaries. In fact, there are moments of this game that feel just like they did in other games. And you can even go as far as to say, like, it feels like you're playing Halo 3. It feels like you're playing, Reach. And it does. But is that necessarily a bad thing? That is relative. That is purely based on your own feelings. To me, I don't know. There's a certain moment in a Halo campaign when I start to really feel fatigue about the game, and I didn't get it that quickly in this game. I did get it because I always get it, and it's purely down to the fact that they seem to want to make every level 2 hours long, and they usually put one extra level in the game that it could really do without. Like, the moment you think the game should end, it doesn't, and it throws another fucking level at you. And this game doesn't do that so offensively to me personally. But there are certain moments when I definitely felt that fatigue. But I enjoyed it nonetheless. I had fun. It was, one of the biggest strengths about this game for me personally is the fact it doesn't rely on vehicles too much, because I'm going to say something here that's not a popular opinion with Halo fans. I think the vehicles ruined this game. I always have. The reason for it is because I'm not a vehicle guy. I've never been really a vehicle guy. The difference is, I know enough to respect the fact that the vehicles give this game the diversity that separates it from every other space-based first-person shooter. And they do handle the open spaces and they handle the combat in the vehicles very well. It's just never something I look forward to. Like, when I find myself in a Scorpion tank, sure, it's kind of fun for about 40 seconds as I realise I'm pretty much invincible and everything else is gonna die. But after that, it just turns into pushing a trolley around a supermarket. I don't necessarily get any enjoyment from it, but every so often it can be kind of fun. And that's how I've always felt. And this game puts you in a couple of situations when you can use vehicles, but you don't have to. And I do think that that is a stable? I do think that the horses need grooming, sire. No, I do think that's a staple of Halo, because they've always had that choice. They've always had this balance of, do you do it on foot, which is generally suicide, or do you do it with a vehicle? And I think that choice is less important in this game. And that to me is powerful, because it makes it much more accessible for somebody like myself, somebody who just wants to run and gun. And I use my armor ability there, which is the cloak, but apparently the elites are really fucking good at telling that you're there, and he knew, before even I knew, that I wasn't invisible. And me and him have a really interesting firefight here, because this guy does not want to die. And sometimes on this game there is nothing more deadly than a single elite. These dudes can really wreck you if you're not careful. But back on to my thoughts about the game. There's not too much emphasis on vehicles. There's a new vehicle section which I haven't seen in a game before, which I really enjoyed. It reminded me of Rogue Squadron, which is a Star Wars game, so you might have an idea of the section I'm speaking about if you've played it. Really enjoyed that moment. I do think that that final level should have ended with that start sequence. I don't think you should have gone in and started shooting things and just done the Halo 101, but that's just me personally. The campaign is a good length. It's give or take about 10 hours. It all depends on skill level and the difficulty you start on. I started on Legendary. I started playing about 3 in the evening. I finished the game by 12 o'clock at night, so give or take, you know, it's a good, healthy campaign. The diversity in the environments is amazing. This game is fucking beautiful. Like, there are moments where I had to stop when I was playing this game because it looks that good. And it just goes to show, these consoles may be showing their age, but whenever the publisher of the console, and then pretty much, you know, underneath their umbrella of influence and their, you know, dev teams, they really know how to bring out the best in the hardware. You look at Sony's exclusives, you look at, you know, companies like Naughty Dogs and Insomniac, they really know how to push the PlayStation because they get the budget and, you know, they understand the hardware. And that is exactly what this game is. This is a developer that has a vast knowledge of making Halo games, as far as, you know, the tech behind it, a completely new creative suite of people introduced, and just a level of polish that you can only get when Microsoft are behind you. You can't make a dev company and create a game that looks this good, because it'd take you 500 years. You would literally need to have the manpower of, you know, a trainer factory in Honduras. You really would. Because there's just too much in it. It's too much. And that's what budget buys you. Budget and skilled people create games that look this beautiful. And Halo is notorious for its skyboxes, and some of the skyboxes on this game are absolutely amazing. The vistas in this game are amazing. The draw distance is superb. The level of detail is astounding. And, you know, for all the reviewers that said if you squint your eyes at RE6 it looks like you're playing a next generation game, well, this is the fucking Matrix compared to that. We are literally living in a hologram, because this is amazing. The game is beautiful. On the flip side to this, you're not really going to see anything too new, because Halo always looks good, and Halo generally always has really nice environments. I just felt that this game had a lot, you know, cosmetically, it all synced much better. And I don't know if it's because it had lens flares, and everybody knows I love me some optical flares. But visually, the game is fantastic. The soundtrack is astounding. The soundtrack is absolutely amazing. I would go as far as to say the soundtrack is better than the visuals. It's used really well. It's got fantastic, superb music, and it's typical Halo. Halo always has good music. This, to me, is even better music. Less fucking bongo bongo, more emotion in my mind. Replay value is obviously high with these kind of games. If you're into the multiplayer, this game is a must-buy anyway. You already know this. If you're just into single player, I don't know if Spartan Ops is going to be worth the purchase, because the campaign doesn't have the scoring, so I don't know how much replay value many people will get from it. The Spartan Ops is a good idea, but like a lot of good ideas, sometimes they don't, you know, become fully realised. I haven't tried it yet, so I can't comment. All in all, this is a great Halo game. If it's the best Halo game, is probably complete preference to what you enjoy. But to me, this is faster than the Halo I remember. It was just as fun, and the enemies that they introduced did give it, you know, a difference. It made it feel like a fresher experience. But after the novelty wore off, and I realised I could still noob combo all of them, and you know, I got pissed off at the fact that the dogs seemed to, you know, endlessly spawn at times. Yeah, some of the shine went away from it. Do I think that this game is a 9.8 out of 10? Fuck no. I just don't think it is. It's a fantastic game, but it doesn't do enough new for it to get a 9.8. 9.8 IGN, take that cock out your mouth, Jesus Christ.